Hey there, Libra. Welcome to your reading for December 2025. You have this up in the air card. It says, this situation has many unknown elements due to the influence of others. You have this Phoenix rising. It says, you've been through the fire and rising up anew and embracing life in a deeper way. A lot of transformative energy at the end of the year here, which makes sense. Again, 2025 is the year of the snake in Chinese astrology. So, we're all kind of like shedding our skin, changing, going through transformations, and all that other good stuff. I really do think that, 2026 will kind of be a year that it makes a mark in all of our lives, really, because, it's like this year, 2025, we're going through the changes. And then I think we all next year have to like go through the fire, and so to speak, and we have to cement those changes that we want to see in reality, and we have to really make them happen. And so, I would say that's kind of like the theme for you here. You're ready is what the Knight of Pentacles is saying to me, to you here, Libra. And the Knight of Pentacles can represent progress. I always say that the Knight of Pentacles, he's a little bit slow, and he's not moving forward on this card. He's just standing there. He's the only knight in the tarot that isn't making any moves. But, sorry, this is like way off, but let's fix that, Libra. But he needs to start making moves so that he can start moving forward. So, I would start making moves. I also think there are a lot of things going on. You have that up in the air card. You have the Five of Wands in your first row. That up in the air card says this situation has many unknown elements due to the influence of others. The Five of Wands can be the influence of others, right? The Five of Wands is conflict and competition. I would say that I would not worry too much about what people are doing. And I would not worry too much about, things you can't control. One thing I will say is, this video will be published on the 24th of November, and the 24th is actually a pretty good week. We have Saturn going direct. The end of the week, we have Mercury going direct. At the beginning of December, we're going to have Neptune going direct on the 10th or whatever it is. So, again, right at the beginning of the month of December, basically, all these planets that have been going retrograde, or, at least a good chunk of them, will be moving forwards. So, I'm not too worried about this Five of Wands, but, again, for the first 2 weeks, we're still going to be in the shadow of Mercury retrograde, even though Mercury will be direct. So, make sure that you're just focusing on what you can do and not on what everyone else is doing. And that is the secret with the Five of Wands. I don't even feel competition or anything like that. I think this card is talking about that up in the air card. I think it's just saying don't allow others to influence the moves that you want to make at this time. You have the Nine of Swords. Nine of Swords is like a never-ending nightmare that you're probably trying to get out of here, Libra. So the Nine of Swords is like having a nightmare, waking up, being stuck in a nightmare. The trick with the Nine of Swords is we just have to get out of bed, right? We just have to leave a situation that has been a round and round situation. And really, I think we're in a time of upgrading as well. So we don't necessarily have to leave anything. Again, we have Pluto and Aquarius. Pluto and Aquarius is all about innovating. So if you've been working on something that has been the same since 2016, somewhere around there, if your life has been the same since 2016, then it's time to find some upgrades, right? And this could literally be anything. It could be your health, your business, what you're working on, whatever. But making those upgrades, or at least working towards upgrading things that you're doing, will improve the situation. Again, I always say Nine of Swords can be bad and good at the same time. The reason is because, again, if you have a job that pays you a lot of money and you're able to support yourself, but it's been the same for the past 20 years or so, it's is that bad? Not really, not necessarily, but at the same time, I think we're meant to grow as much as possible. So, this card sometimes says you can be in a good situation that just needs to evolve. And, that's kind of what I feel for you on that card, Libra. So let's see where we're going here. And the Nine of Swords just popped out as I was shuffling that deck, so definitely we'll keep that in mind. With the Knight of Pentacles, you have the Two of Swords. Yeah, Two of Swords can be being stuck in a stalemate. I think people are looking for answers, or at least you're looking for answers. We have the Ace of Swords going down right here. The Ace of Swords can be an answer, or, looking for an answer, looking for some sort of guidance from the universe. And so I just feel like a little bit stuck for you on this Two of Swords card. She really needs to trust her intuition, and you end with the High Priestess. She has this blindfold on, and blindfolds in the tarot represent not trusting your intuition. So I would make sure that you're taking a little bit of time, especially at the beginning of the month, when Neptune goes direct in Pisces, which will be, I think, on the 10th, if I'm not mistaken. I wasn't really paying attention when I was looking at the chart, so I don't know. There you go. But what I would say is, especially at the beginning of the month, I would really be tapping in. With the Five of Wands, you have the Sun. Best card in the deck, makes the whole entire reading a little bit more positive, so that could be very good. The Sun can say that you need to stand out above the competition, which a lot of people have been getting messages like this. I think that it's really Pluto and Aquarius. Again, Pluto and Aquarius is a time of co-creation. Again, as I've said a million times before, that doesn't mean competition is going anywhere, but what it means is that we should be more focused on co-creation. It also doesn't mean you can't take part in a competition, but what we should be doing is we should be studying the competition and seeing what they're not doing so that we can rise above the competition and so that we can set ourselves apart. We are in a time where we have to be able to set ourselves apart, and I feel like that's what the Sun is talking about here. With the Nine of Swords, you have the Two of Wands. Yeah, Two of Wands is about taking the lead in your own life and, again, not listening to other people. He's you could argue that he's probably the king in this village because he's standing at the top of this castle, and the card itself is encouraging him to go build a new castle. He has to expand his kingdom. What have we been talking about this entire time? Is you leveling up or expanding something. I don't think you necessarily have to quit your job or anything like that, Libra, but if it's been the same for a very long time, it's how can you upgrade it, change it, level it up, do something different so that you can stand out? And I feel like that is the question on the Two of Wands, but very good so far. Next, in the area of what's coming in for you, you have this card. It says, nothing is yet set in stone. You have this new moon in Capricorn. It says your hard work is paying off, which is great. So any hard work that you've been doing is paying off. I would definitely do things to make things real. Again, I say this a lot because of Neptune and Pisces. Neptune and Pisces is like the big impossible dream, but it's too much fantasy. It's too much dreaming energy. And all we have to do is do one thing here on Earth to lock our dreams in down here on Earth to make something real. One of the easiest things we can do is habits, right? Is that if we want to be successful, for example, there are habits that make people successful. So just do those things. And that's how you can set something in stone with Neptune and Pisces. But I also do feel like your hard work is paying off. I feel you've been definitely climbing a mountain. You have that Ace of Swords, and we'll talk about it in a minute. But the sword is above the mountains, so it kind of represents you overcoming an obstacle or having a victory or a big win over something that you've been dealing with. You have the Nine of Swords, the Hangman, and the Seven of Wands. Or, sorry, the Three of Swords. Sorry, too many Nine of Swords popping out here. The Three of Swords can be heartbreak or sadness, but what I would say is, at the end of a retrograde, the Three of Swords comes up like crazy, and it's a great time to practice forgiveness or healing or letting go of the past. So I feel the Three of Swords is more encouraging you, Libra, to, let go of the past. Those swords are in your own heart, and the easiest way to remove those swords is to practice forgiveness for something from the past. You have the Hangman. Hangman is about seeing things from a new perspective. He's hanging upside down from the Tree of Knowledge and Wisdom, and he's gained enlightenment. His head is glowing here. I do feel like it's been a little bit slow for you. I mean, you have two slow cards, the Knight of Pentacles and this one, and also the Two of Swords. She is stuck trying to make a decision. So the good news is that we go down to the Ace of Swords. I feel that you're kind of having a little bit of a breakthrough this month, or maybe you're finally setting yourself free from something that has been keeping you stuck for a long time. I've said it to others that this Mercury retrograde, it seems to be bringing answers in for people. It's I think retrogrades have different themes of how they affect us, or what they can bring to us. And this one seems to be answers. It seems to be clarity as well. And so retrogrades can absolutely bring a lot of clarity from the past. And, this clarity could be finally setting you free. You have the Seven of Wands. Seven of Wands is a card of drawing a line in the sand. You've been getting this card with me as well all year. You're a big fan of the sevens, apparently, Libra. Seven of Pentacles or the Seven of Wands is always showing up for you. I do feel boundaries are going to be important for you, but I kind of feel like these are boundaries with yourself, where it's like if you say you don't want something, definitely don't do it. Right? It's like sometimes I think we do need to have boundaries with ourselves. Like if we're doing things where we hate, for example, we are basically telling the universe, I'm willing to put up with this, right? So Seven of Wands says, don't do that. If there are things that you don't want, or if there are things you don't want to put up with, don't do those things. And you will probably be surprised at how your life changes. And the Seven of Wands is, again, there's a certain level of confidence that he has. He is saying, like, he has really convinced himself that there is no other way than for him to be successful at whatever it is that he's trying to do. This is a card of conviction. He is fully convicted. So, I think developing that mindset could be very good for you this month as well. With the Three of Swords, you have the Page of Cups. This really could be healing. I don't think anyone can heal us. I think we have to heal ourselves. But I do feel that there could be a person coming in for you that is kind of healing. We go Six of Cups down to this High Priestess. Could be a very intuitive person, but the Six of Cups can be like a very childlike connection, very playful, fun, lighthearted. I don't read the Six of Cups as a person coming back from the past. It doesn't even represent that. I know every reader and their mother basically says that, but it's a card of innocence and nostalgia. It can represent thinking about the past, but it doesn't mean that someone is coming back from the past. So I feel like this is a new person that could be kind of like helping you heal. With the Hangman, you have the Ace of Wands. So many aces at the end of the year here. Again, it's really weird to me. Normally at the beginning of the year, like when I do, this year, when I did the 2025 readings, there were a bunch of aces. This year, I'm also going to do the 2026 readings, in a couple weeks, basically, or in a week or so. And we'll see if a bunch of aces come up. But usually, at the end of the year, we don't get a lot of aces. And so, I don't know. It's just something that's been standing out to me in these readings. Ace of Wands is out with the old, in with the new. So, definitely an opportunity to level up. We have the Two of Wands, where he needs to leave the castle. We have a castle right here that's crumbling on the Ace of Wands. It's out with the old, in with the new. So, there's clearly like a new beginning or something new that you're going to be doing. And like I said, it seems to be a common theme. So it seems to be a good time. Again, we do have all these planets going direct now. So, within, the next few weeks, depending on when you're watching this video. With the Seven of Wands, you have the Two of Pentacles. Yeah, next year is going to be much more busy, I feel. Again, speaking of Chinese astrology, next year is the year of the horse, which is like speed, momentum, things moving forward very quickly. So, I think this year has been very slow, 2025. So I do feel that next year could be much busier, especially for you, Libra. Again, by February, in January, Neptune moves back into Aries, your opposite sign. And then in February, Saturn moves back in Aries. So, all that Aries energy could really have you making a lot of moves. And you could notice that the energy is speeding up. I don't really, I'm not even getting a message off this card. It's just telling me that you're about to be very busy. That's it. So, make sure that you're balancing your energy. Make sure that you are not burning yourself out. Make sure that you're carving out time to, spend with your family or, people who fill you up and things like that. Next in the area, messages from your future self. Can't make this up. You have this co-create card and this buy the book card. Yes, I think co-creation is definitely one of the keys to success over the next 19-ish years or so until 2043 or so when Pluto leaves Aquarius. So that's a long-ass time from now, Libra. But anything you can do to co-create with others is going to be important. I get lots of comments from people that say oh, I don't want to work with other people. I'm like, well, first off, get over yourself. Number one, don't, but you're just screwing yourself out of success. So it's I don't know what people want me to say when they say that. They have all these excuses. I'm like, I don't care. It's whatever. You're just going to get steamrolled by people who do work with other people. So, there you go. The second thing is that you don't even have to work with other people. So for you loners out there, if you are creating something that you're putting out into the world, you are co-creating. If you're creating something that other people benefit from, then you are working with co-creation energy. So number one, I would still say it's much, much better to get over yourself and team up with the right people. It's not that hard. Again, people tell us who they are right away. People always tell me about all these people that burn them and all this other stuff. It's like every person that's burned me, every person that's broken up with me or cheated on me, they literally told me day one, right? We just have to pay attention. It's just that simple. It's pretty freaking easy. So there you go. I don't know. I can't be nice about it because, again, I'm a dummy, right? And if I can do this, you can do this. And, that's what I would say there. The buy the book card, it is not necessarily a good time to go buy the book on anything. That doesn't mean we shouldn't, but what it does mean is we should be open to innovation. We should be open to doing things in different ways. And I would just stay open, right? You have the Four of Pentacles, Six of Cups, and the Ace of Swords. Four of Pentacles holding on too tightly to the past, so I would be careful of anything that you're holding on to. This is going to be true for basically everyone. Mostly because of Pluto and Aquarius, but also Uranus and Gemini. People who can adapt quickly are going to be very successful during Uranus and Gemini, especially, which is like the next 7-ish years or so, until 2033. So until that time, that's where we're going to be dealing with this. I kind of feel like the peak of the energy is like 2028, somewhere around there, where we're really going to have to be willing to go against the grain. And what I mean by that is if we come up with an idea, we should practice, number one, non-attachment to outcome. Again, I think the people that are going to have a hard time are going to be probably the fixed signs, really. Not that I'm calling them out, but, it's like if you come up with an outcome and you're saying to yourself, I need things to work this way, not going to happen, right? But if you're willing to be flexible and you're willing to say, I'm just going to go on this adventure, I'm going to have fun, I'm going to enjoy the journey, right? And I'm not going to worry too much about how things happen and I'm going to follow my inspirations, then you'll have a great time. And, that's what I would do with this Four of Pentacles. You have the Six of Cups. I do feel like this could be new love. Not really a major focus here for you, but, if you want it, it's here. The other thing that I would say that I also think is important for you over the next few years is going to be, kind of like, don't be afraid of breaking things, basically. I've said this to a few other signs, but, the thing is that the Six of Cups, I think, can come up when we are being too delicate. It's like we're not doing enough to make an impact. And again, I'm not calling you out or anything like that, Libra. What I'm saying is, again, if you're trying to have an impact, like in work or business or even love or whatever, you really have to go for it. And you really have to do something that matters. And I'm not saying that what you do doesn't matter, but, you really have to make an impact, especially with Pluto and Aquarius, especially because you're an air sign, right? And so I would just be thinking about it. Like, again, if you're trying to build a business and it's not taken off, it's like, what can you do to like really stand out? And I don't know what you do. So you're going to have to do your research. Same thing in love. It's like everybody is the same in love right now. So it's like, I kind of feel like nowadays you don't want to be running around out here on these streets like it's a war zone in love. But at the same time, I think if you're like a little bit different than what everybody else is doing, you can actually stand out. So, and usually if you do that, you'll attract a person who stands out. So a lot to think about with that card. You have the Ace of Swords. Ace of Swords is a victory. I definitely feel like you're overcoming whatever is going on here. Very stuck energy. Knight of Pentacles, Two of Swords, and the Hangman. And so I feel for a lot of you, you could be having like a victory or a big win. The Ace of Swords can represent a victory, so I do feel that, Libra. With the Four of Pentacles, you have the Knight of Pentacles again. Yeah, it's like about taking those risks, It's like I kind of feel like it's like you are in a position in your life where you are fishing, is the best way I can describe it. It's like, I feel like you are looking for a lot of answers, but it's like but I think you are fishing for these answers. Like there's, all these things are popping into my head. Like there's a need for a little bit of patience. There's a need to, keep casting your line out there until you catch the big fish, right? And things like that. And I don't know, that's like the feeling I get here is that, yeah, it might be a little bit of a pain in the ass if you don't like fishing, obviously, but, at the same time, I think if you keep casting at your net or your pole, that you will get the answers you're looking for. And so this could represent like needing to experiment more, needing to just try more, right? With the Knight of Pentacles, needing to plant more seeds, needing to go on more adventures. All those things are like fishing, because you're putting yourself out there. You're putting yourself out there on the end of the hook, and you're seeing what you catch. And yeah, that's what I would do. With the Six of Cups, yes, you have the Four of Pentacles. I mean, we still have this, first 2 weeks of the month will be in the retrograde shadow, so I would definitely be careful if you have a person that can't let you go, Libra, right? But at the same time, I feel that this is kind of saying, don't be too delicate with what you're doing. With the Ace of Swords, you have the Ten of Swords. Ten of Swords says something in your life is like dead, done, over with. Ten of Swords can be good because he's making this symbol right here with his hand that represents a blessing in disguise. So, this could be like a blessing in disguise coming in for you, Libra, especially if you're trying to be more successful or trying to make something happen. So, yeah, there could be an ending, but I feel it's like a blessing in disguise. Next, in the area of the good stuff, you have this Thief card. It says loss, abandonment, disappearance, missing, someone or something, theft, deficiency. You have this Despair. It says adversity, excessive stress, sadness, suffering, sleepless nights. Again, this is coming up in the good stuff, and the good news is you have the Nine of Swords, which can represent all of that right there. And so coming up in the good stuff, it would say you're probably leaving these things behind, which is a good thing, of course, Libra. You have the Two of Swords, the Four of Cups, and the High Priestess. Again, I do like that you start and end with the Two of Swords, because if you have been stuck in a stalemate, it kind of says that you are setting yourself free from, being stuck or having to make a decision. Again, she needs to trust her intuition, but in the good stuff, you also have the High Priestess, so I do feel you are tapping into that intuition more. You have the Four of Cups. It's like, I feel like this is... this is coming up in the good stuff, Libra, but I almost feel that this is what is holding you back just a little bit. The Four of Cups, he's not accepting this cup into his life because he's been disappointed like 3 times before. And so he needs to accept that cup because he needs to realize he's learned from those 3 cups, right? And so I feel this is kind of like saying, it's time to try something again. And you have learned. You just need to apply what you learned to this fourth cup, and things can go much, much better. You have the High Priestess. Definitely time to trust your intuition. We are in a very intuitive time, especially with Neptune going direct at the beginning, within the first 2 weeks, December. So, I feel a lot of you, your intuition could be being turned back on almost. It's kind of funny because I have like the Six of Swords popping into my head right now. You don't have the Six of Swords. I'm just saying it's popping into my head. And I think it's popping into my head because Neptune retrograde can be a very much like a stuck in the mud type of feeling. It's like, imagine if you're on the water. And Six of Swords, by the way, can represent being stuck in the mud. This is why I'm saying that. You have that guy in the back of the boat who's pushing the boat forward, right? But they're in the water, but that stick, that staff that he's using to push the boat forward, it might be stuck in the mud. That is one way to read the Six of Swords. So it's very frustrating because it's like you're on the water, you're on the thing, you're in the thing that can move you forward, but you're stuck. And that, for some reason, that is popping into my head. Maybe that is the frustration Libra has been feeling for a long time. It's like you're in the right element, but you're not. But you have been stuck for a while. And I do feel like you're getting unstuck here. This is a very unstuck reading in some ways, Libra. So I feel pretty good about that. With the Two of Swords, sorry I threw it, you have the Knight of Cups. So a little bit of love here. Again, the December readings have been kind of weird. It's like there has been like a little bit of love, but not like the other readings that I did for like November and October were loaded with love. But if you want it, definitely could be a Knight in Shining Armor coming in for you. I do get a little hesitation, I'm not going to lie, Libra. Like, I don't think it's you. I think that some of you could be, finding a person who might be hesitating, or maybe they're a little bit slow with the Knight of Pentacles as well. With the Four of Cups, you have the Temperance card. Temperance is patience. So, again, if you're meeting a person, maybe you're going to have to be patient. Temperance also says there's a path right here. This is called the path to glory, and there's this crown. So I feel some of you really could be going and claiming your crown this month. With the High Priestess, you have the Seven of Swords. Yes, I almost said it. We were on the by the book card. We were talking about how maybe you shouldn't do things by the book, right? He is going to war, but in a different way. He is stealing those swords from that army in the background. Seven of Swords is going to come up for the next, until 2033. It's going to come up all the time, right? And so, we just have to be willing to do things differently. We have to be willing to experiment. We have to be willing to be tactical, especially between now and 2028, which is like the peak of the energy, I feel. But again, I wouldn't stop after that either. You have this arrow card. It says you're on the right path regarding some aspect of your life. I feel like you feel like you're on the right path. Like I said, there is definitely an element of freedom in this reading, or being set free from being stuck in the mud. So that's nice. You have this weeping willow. It says family sorrow. A lot of family stuff in these readings at the end of the year. Of course, it is the holiday, so a lot of people could be spending time with family. I actually feel pretty good about family, so there you go. You have this moon. It says changes in your life. Yes. Again, I said it at the beginning of the reading. We're in a time of major change, especially the end of the year here. I think the Chinese New Year starts in February, right? So we enter the year of the horse in February or somewhere around there. And so what I would say is that between now and then, any changes you can make, I would do something to bring those changes down to earth. Again, the danger with Neptune and Pisces especially is like saying you want something, but not taking at least one step. It's like, if you don't, it's not going to happen. So, I would make sure you're taking those steps. You have this older man card. It says dealings or relationships with an older man. You have this rat. It says someone working against you behind your back. Again, I would be careful of, the things that Again, I think intuitively what you're picking up on with people. So you can trust yourself with other people, but you just have to trust what you're feeling. You have this unicorn. It says use your intuition to make beneficial changes. The whole entire reading is talking about your intuition. So yes, Libra. But this looks pretty good. Like I said, I think it's very simple reading. You're just getting unstuck, which is nice. So I like that. But thank you for being here. Make sure to leave a comment, and definitely enjoy your month.